Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And l'chaim u'levracha, l'chaim mazel tov, shechiyanu v'kiyimanu v'giyanu l'zman hazeh, to bring us to this great moment for our community. L'chaim u'levracha. You know, they say there was a news that hit the world, that the entire world was in grave danger because it was determined that an asteroid would hit the Earth and all of the oceans would overflow. And within 48 hours, the entire world would be covered with water. And so in houses of worship across the world, religious leaders gathered their congregants and said, we have 48 hours to repent, to think about how to return our souls to our Maker. And in the synagogues, the rabbis got up and said, we have 48 hours to figure out how to survive underwater. And this is true perhaps about Judaism, that we've always figured out how to survive the challenges we faced. But we've always survived underwater because it is the underwater of the Mikvah that has allowed Judaism to flourish and prosper. Another reason that our community here has been blessed to flourish and prosper is thanks to my parents, my father and mother, Rabbi and Rebbe Silberberg, who came down here with a vision in 1975, a vision that perhaps very few would see, a vision of Jewish people gathering together, a vision of families celebrating Shabbos together, walking to shul, a vision of Torah classes here in West Bloomfield every night of the week. And through tireless effort over the last close to 50 years, we've seen the beautiful blessings, the fulfillment of that vision, the vision that was that of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the blessed memory. And with that, I'd like to call upon my father, Rabbi Silberberg, Mallor de Astra, to please share a few words of bracha.
Honored Rabbanim, guests from far and wide. I'll keep my remarks brief for several reasons. We do have some other speakers speaking after me. And in many ways, it's just very emotional about this setting that bringing everyone together for this momentous occasion. Baruch Shechiyanu v'kimanu v'yonu l'zman hazeh. As Torah Jews always have believed in the idea of Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu directs everything. The Holy Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, told us it's not just enough to believe in Hashgacha Pratis. The person has a job and obligation each and every day, at the end of the day, to look back at the day and to see the Yad Hashem, to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu has directed everything of that day. Concerning this event, there have been so many different signs pointing to the idea of this being Hashgacha Pratis. You know, in a Bais Chabad, like any other institution, especially Bais Chabad, there's so many different projects that we have, all the very important projects. The last 3.5 years, we devoted a lot of our efforts, most of our efforts, to creating this Mayim Chaim, Mikvah. And sometimes you wonder whether or not it was the proper approach or not. In Baruch Hashem, we see that in Yad Hashem, so many different ways. As we mentioned today, we just read a letter from the Rebbe. The Rebbe sent 40 years ago, almost to the day, blessing us on the first mikvah, which was built, a very small mikvah 40 years ago. We know the number 40 is connected to mikvah. The Gemara tells us, and Arab and other was also, that a mikvah is a kosher mikvah that has 40 saw water. There's something in the number 40 that brings tahara, that brings purity. In fact, the Alter Rebbe writes, he talks about the 40 days of the Mallor, destroy the world. And God shows that approach to destroy the world, not to destroy the world, but to make the world into one big mikvah. 40 days of a mikvah, 40 saw. There's something special about a mikvah. One of the basic ideas of a mikvah is that when we think about trying to transmit Kedusha to our children, we think it begins with teaching them Torah, doing mitzvahs. It begins a lot earlier. It begins with the conception of the child. If the child is conceived correctly, then we can hope that Mitzvah Hashem, the child will grow to be an emissary with Kedusha and Tahara. That's one element of the mitzvah. Another element of this mitzvah of mikvah, the idea that it needs a total immersion, total bodily immersion. There's certain other areas of Torah that you also try to make kedusha, but it's not total immersion. When it comes to washing our hands, we wash first the right hand and the left hand. When it comes to even kashering a vessel, we can kasher in two different stages. When it comes to mikvah is not one mitzvah that has and requires total immersion, total body, total immersion one shot. The idea being, when it comes to any mitzvah in Yiddishkeit, you got to be total immersion. Whatever you're doing, even if a person is not from yet totally, has not accepted all mitzvahs, whatever mitzvah you do, a person has to accept it with total immersion. So the idea of total immersion involves mesiras nefesh for mitzvahs, as we talked about in Russia in the 1920s and 30s. When many mikvahs closed down, you had the Hasidim getting involved in mesiras nefesh for mikvah. The Gemara tells us any mitzvah was done with mesiras nefesh. Klal Yisrael celebrates with a simcha. There are different levels of mesiras nefesh. But I'd like to just give a bit of the history, small history, what happened in the development of this mikvah. Several years ago, on my birthday, the Rebbe always underscores the importance of making kachotas tevis, commitments on your birthday. Several years ago, on an important birthday of mine, I decided to make a commitment. What would the Rebbe want from me? I'm Shliach of the Rebbe at my age. What do we want from me? I decided I'd like to make a beautiful mikvah to attract more and more people. A separate mikvah, a men's mikvah, a female mikvah. And I decided on that day, on my birthday, we're going to make a mikvah. And then I said, well, we're going to get the money from this. And we had an old member who's here today, who'll speak closer to today a bit later, who I heard her name, that she was already involved in philanthropy on a large scale. And let me try it out. I really didn't speak there for many years, a couple of decades. And this is Shira Malka Walder and her husband, Rabbi Yosef Walder. And I visited her, and Baruch Hashem, she gave approval to finance in a very, very significant way. And after doing that, I was able to go to Mikvah USA, a very wonderful organization, building hundreds of mikvahs throughout the United States. We got their commitment to help out and their halachic guidance throughout the entire last 3.5 years. And therefore, it's certainly a very wonderful organization. We have 4 members of the organization here who came today to meet us. We have Rabbi Bastrisky, who I was quite close with his cousin, Rabbi Levi Bastrisky from Svas. And wonderful organization. I'd also like to thank those who made this mesiras nefesh, total immersion of their time, including, let me try to get some of the names that worked with me. Obviously, my colleague, Rabbi Avram Weinberg, without this cannot be done. Jason Rogers, who built the mikveh, Baruch Hashem, beautiful, Rafael Feledick, and Zelda Goldner. Certainly, Schneer and Zizi were the firepower behind all of this, Schneer and Zizi. Esther Schrager, Lisheva Shomer, Leah, my daughter Leah, the Solomon family, the Zeckelman family. And this mikveh should bring Torah to our community and Torah to the world, and make the world a keli for Mashiach's kingdom.